Hey guys, so what are we? We're Friday. We are March 4th, and tomorrow, Saturday, is our provincial indoor 3D championships. Now, am I taking it super seriously? One would say no, but at the same time, I want to be able to shoot well. But I had just gotten my wood arrows to shoot off my longbow on Monday. They were Tuesday, I think maybe it was. So it wasn't a lot of time to do the fine tuning, but again, I suppose with the experience of having shot longbows and wood arrows, for some time before, and then I kind of did switch over mostly to sort of the instinctive group with where they allow any arrow shaft. So I was shooting with full metal jackets. I was shooting with predators. I've been shooting with different carbons. So I wanted to get back to shooting wood arrows for competition and just kind of keep it simple, stupid. Although, to be honest, shooting a wood arrow that you buy isn't so much about keeping it terribly simple, because you still have to tune these, and that's what I did this week. So on Tuesday, when I think I got them, I took the full length arrow. And the first thing I did is, because I knew how weak it was expected to be using my charts and experience from past wood arrows. And I have other wood arrows that I was shooting off the longbow to give me an idea. So off of the full length arrow on this end, I immediately cut, what is that? I don't want to say it's 10 centimeters. It's less than 10 centimeters. 8.5 centimeters I ended up cutting off right off the top. So that's what I did there. Then I went and I cut it flat. Cut that flat. That's a full length. We'll set that one over there. We're done with that pretty much. Cut it flat, and then took my top hat screw-on brass point, which I like very much. I've used screw-ons in the past, and I've liked them, but they were more of a bullet hole style, or not bullet hole, but a bullet tip style. These, I like the looks of them a little bit better, and I like that they're flat. You don't make it coned. First time trying them, so if there's issues with it, cutting flat rather than using the taper tool, we'll see. All right, so then you get those on, voila, you got a arrow ready to go. I go out, I shoot it, right? I took off that about 8.5 centimeters. I went out, I shot it, and I stood at about 20 meters. And I lined, because I'm a gap shooter, and there are a lot of similarities. There's an aiming method, and with an aiming method, you're using cues that are in your sight window. And for me, I take at full draw, I come back to anchor, eye tooth. I look through the string, I look for my string blur, and I have the tip of my arrow and the string in line. That gives me my left and right. And I let that go. Now I'm left-handed. The arrow ended up constantly hitting right. So if I'm looking down range, I was lining everything up, sort of like iron sights, right? The string is here. The tip of my arrow is my pinky. I line those up. I put that right on the spot that I was trying to hit, and every time I shot this arrow, it was shooting off to the right. So it meant it was weak. So I came in. So first I cut that off. I came in and I cut off another centimeter. Straight up, measured off 1 centimeter, cut it, went out, did the same thing. Pulled this back, anchored it, looked through my string, put the tip of my arrow like that, dunk, let it go. It still pulled right, but about half as much right on average than how right it was before I took that centimeter off. So it was close. I was really close, probably closer than I had expected. I had expected to probably do this 3, 4, 5 times. But I came back in and I took another centimeter off the same shaft, so it keeps getting shorter. Put the top hat back on, right? Pretty simple to do. put the top hat point back on, went out, same old, come back to anchor, right? And it was shooting bang on 2 or 3 inches, depending on my form, right? It was cold out. It was a little bit of a wind, but it was actually, I'll be honest, it really only ever came to the left, I think 1 shot out of the 5 or 6 that I had shot. They were all high because I was putting on the tip and I was coming a little bit higher. But I want to do that. Doesn't matter. Don't worry about high or low if you're a gap shooter or a reference shooter of any kind, or even if you're just shooting instinctively. Just pick a spot and shoot. And as you shorten it as a left-handed, it's opposite if you're right-handed, but as a lefty, that was, sorry, and I'm a lefty, and I keep doing this as if I'm right-handed. So those of you who pick up on that, try to remember that I was a right-handed archer, and I've switched to left-handed. So often when I'm here in front of the camera and I don't have my bow in my hand, I often still think that I'm right-handed because I am right-handed, but I shoot left-handed. So I apologize if that confused anybody. So this one was coming, and it was pretty much right in line, right? And that was perfect. So then once I have an arrow that's shooting straight, you know, as far as when with my bow's vertical, I use that my string and string blur as the back V and iron sights, and I use the tip of the arrow as my point on the end of the barrel. That's how I often explain it to guys who have shot iron sights or open sights before. And then it's just a matter of, at 20, I was high when I put it on the tip of the arrow. It was coming about 6 inches above the spot that I was putting the tip of the arrow on. So I knew that I had to step backwards in order to find, you know, where that arrow dropped in and hit that target. So 25 meters is where that happened to be, which is really, for me, for competing with wood arrows, 25 meters is great because 30 meters is your max, and 30 yards, I guess, is 27 meters. But that 30 meter point on that I use with my other bow is great if you know you're going to be out and you're going to be trying to make some of those longer shots. But most of our shots here, 3D wise, are, you know, they're averaging around the 20 meter mark. And at 20 meters, that gap ends up being a whole lot. 18 inches, I think I am with my ILF setup and my carbon arrows. So when I'm shooting at 15 meters, I have to hold the tip of my arrow 18 inches low. And on a lot of small targets, that's hard. You're holding in the dirt. All kinds of things makes it difficult. But with this arrow, as it was when I was shooting it the other day, 25 meters was my point on, which is great. So anything beyond 25, I actually have to count a stack up to about 8 inches high at 30 meters, which isn't too bad because on a large animal, you know, you hold high on the shoulder and it should drop into the 8-10. But at my max gap between 25 and 0, your max gap should be at 12.5 meters. When I go to 12.5 meters, it's that 10-12 inches low. So the lowest that I have to hold on a target in order to hit it between 0 meters and 25 meters is now about 12 inches rather than 18 inches. And 12 inches is a whole lot easier to hold on an animal because it's usually on a large animal, you're just kind of holding down low below the kill zone. And on a small animal, you know, you're just usually in the dirt in front of it, you know, just a little bit rather than trying to count off 18 inches and where that might be underneath the target. So I'm looking forward to tuning these up more. They might still be a little bit on the weak side because I haven't shot them enough, and everything that I shot this week ended up being pretty much either weak and I cut it off until I was hitting straight, and then they were pretty straight. But in time, you know, I may choose to take off just a little bit more. Better an arrow a little too stiff, in my opinion, than a little too weak. I've heard that a number of times from different archers. Everybody's got a different opinion, of course, but that's mine. So these are all cut. I just got to get my points out, and I'll have 6 arrows for Provincials tomorrow. So anyway, anybody who's going to be there tomorrow, I'll see you to the woods, or in this particular case, indoor, so to the arena. And I'll see you guys all there. Talk soon. to the woods. Welcome to beautiful Nova Scotia. It's beautiful sunny though, bright. We got a lot of snow yesterday, guys. I'm glad tomorrow's provincials are indoors. So minus 11, some new wood arrows, and I'm just going to shoot from the snowbank, about 18 meters, not all that far, but give me a good idea if these arrows are shooting well for tomorrow. Consistently high. Oh. They were all about 3 inches high. Oh, that target's frozen. See if I can bring that down. They're hitting the target. Oh shit. I don't know how much of that I got, how much I didn't. When they're hitting the target, they're kicking. But they're getting better. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that, you know, on center, a little bit left, a little bit right. You know, that's going to be me. But if the arrows are grouping on that center line, rather than always to the right or always to the left, then I got those cut just about right. That's it. I don't know how much of that I got. That's the group. A little bit of a camera failure there. I didn't take out the tripod thing. I just had it leaning up against a piece of wood. So every time it thumped that frozen target, a camera slid further and further down. I hadn't realized, but I got most of it. And again, this is, you know, I'm kind of getting back into the wood arrow thing. That's the longbow that I built with Lloyd's mentorship, and that's the type of longbow I've always enjoyed shooting. I've got, what is it? I've got 3 other Wild Things up there that Lloyd built, and Dad shoots a Wild Thing, a right-handed one that I had before my accident. So, and I've had multiple right-handed Wild Things before then. So I like that reflex deflex longbow. Admittedly, could probably use a little more riser mass, but you know, you get used to shooting what you're shooting. So because I want to take that bow to nationals in PEI this year, it was important for me to start shooting wood arrows, and I just kind of put it off, and I admit that the whole COVID thing had me kind of dragging my feet a little bit, and I shouldn't have been. That's my own error. So having received the arrows on Tuesday, I'm going to shoot provincials tomorrow. It's my first competition with wood arrows in some time. We'll see how that goes. We'll you know, I'll be there competing against myself for the most part. There'll be a couple guys maybe shooting wood arrows, but so my placing isn't as important as starting to dial that in, see how these arrows are working for me, and then after tomorrow, after a full day, I'll know what it is I need to work on as we work towards going to nationals and PEI this summer. So I'm really looking forward to it. See everybody tomorrow. I'm on the afternoon line, so I'll probably show up around noon. And for anybody shooting in the morning, best of luck if I don't see you. And we'll see you all soon. And with COVID restrictions lessening and eventually, you know, with a date in mind where they're being removed, then, you know, our 3D season hopefully is better than the last two. And I look forward to seeing everyone more and more as the summer progresses. All right. To the woods. Thanks, guys. See you all soon.